I'm going to start off the story by saying that Saba is probably one of the most consistent people. She's also an on-time person, just like me.
What?
Very few people in the family are on-time people.
So we are saying that.
So, me and Saba used to butt heads a lot. We would argue about the most random stuff. So there are two stories I want to tell. The first story was on Tisha B'Av. We drove to the Young Israel, and Saba parked on like the side of the shul. And I saw that this tree fell down, and Saba was reversing, and I thought to myself, do I say something? Do I not say something? If I say there's a tree there, he's going to be like, I see it. Obviously. So I decided I wasn't going to say anything, and Saba reversed, and sure enough, he hit the car, he hit the tree, and he says to me, he goes, why don't you tell me there was a tree there? That was the first story. Now, I remember I was at the house, and me and Saba were arguing about something, and I said to him, how do you daven in Hebrew if you don't understand the words? So this started a very big argument, and it ended in a very, very nice way. He said, when I go to I like music. As everyone knows, Saba played music, and he enjoyed watching the orchestra, no matter what language it was in, if it was in French or German or Italian. And he said, it's just so beautiful. It doesn't matter if I understand what it means. You know, I didn't really understand that until this week, when I went with my beautiful wife. We went to see the Israeli Philharmonic Orchestra play at Carnegie Hall, and I didn't understand anything, but it was very beautiful. And now I know what Saba meant when he said it. Exactly. And, you know, parts of it were more. It was still very uplifting, and you know, those are the memories that I have, and I was lucky that I was able to live by them for like 6 months, and it was mostly good, you know. We used to eat a lot. Right? No pretzels ever. But me and Saba used to finish like a whole pack of hot dogs, and just like with the buns and everything. That's probably where I got my big appetite from. But I see a lot of similarity in how I am looking at Saba. He was my son, and I remember his son. Someone said, I don't remember who it was. Maya. So I was just grateful that I was here for good and for Ami bad, and I was happy to spend his last Rosh Hashanah with him together, and have the great minion that Uncle H did. Those are the things that I'll remember about my grandson.
When Sadie started to not get well, you know, Moshe wasn't around, Yehuda wasn't around, I wasn't around in my house. At the very beginning, Mendy was around, wasn't around. It was also back and forth. Got married, but Sani really, really stepped up to the plate in such an unbelievable way. And I think I can speak for all of us about how the amount of Carson told, the amount of gratitude we have towards Sani for all the unbelievable things that he was able to do for Zadie in the last 2 years or so, you know. And Sani.
Sadie identified with Sonny because Sonny is a master contractor. And he bought Sadie tools, and he bought him a case with screwdrivers and this and that. Right?
Before I start, only that because I asked him and he said he's not speaking, I do want to give big kudos to Mendy. For the last 2 weeks of Mendy's life, doing all the documents and so I didn't have the quite apropos the guts to do it, but I know Mendy did it, and I want to just put out there the kudos to Mendy for doing that. Real shit. I did two speeches. The first one I was going to pick up Chaim Simcha Jr., hold him up like Simba and Lion King, and show him the legacy that I didn't think my wife would like that, so I didn't do that. We'll leave that. But I was also told I had to say the right Torah from the Parsha, so I'm going to try to say something small quickly. I know everyone's eating, so I want to ignore me, so that's good. In this week's Parsha, it's interesting because one of the things I noticed a lot about Zaydi, and I put in the memory book, was he always had a chumash with him. Chumash was sitting, he was always doing Tehillah and chumash sitting. He was always doing something, learning. In this week's Parsha, we go through the story of Ephraim and Avram. They were trying. Avram was trying to buy the Mars Machpelah to bury Sarah. And there's one point where it says Ephraim without a vav in his name. It's Ayin Fei Reish Nun. And Rashi goes on a whole rant how it's without a vav and it's without a vav and it's missing the vav. And there's many different pshat. The Balaturim right here says quickly that Ephraim without the vav is gematria 400, which is the same as Ra Ayin, or Ayin Ra, a bad eye. Ephraim without the vav is his whole focus, which we'll see what the vav means shortly, but his whole focus was the money. He wanted the 400 shekel, he wanted the 400 oivel hasefer kesef, that was universal coins, and that was his focus. He didn't think about anything else, he didn't think about his family, he didn't think about the town, he knew he had a business deal. In fact, he was the lowest man on the totem pole in the town, and it was his property that Avram wanted, so he felt this was his chance to shine, and his focus was the 400. It's interesting, there's 4 times in Playakov, we found there's 4 times where there was a concept of 400 that was a bad time. The first one was Ephraim, that we learned, not that it was a bad time, but we learned out a lesson. The second time was the Mitzrayim. Klai was supposed to be Mitzrayim for 400 years. The third time was, or actually the second time before Mitzrayim, was Esav when he was coming to attack Yaakov, was with 400 men. You know, the kids learned the song Esav was coming with 400 men, right? And the fourth time was with David HaMelech. Later on, he was going to a town called Carmeli to fight Abishalom. I think it was Abishalom, and he went with 400 men to go attack the town. So we see this concept of 400. Ephraim was bad, he was missing the vav, and it's interesting also, Vayakim stay Ephraim, the next pasuk after the story, Vayakim stay Ephraim, the first 3 letters backwards, Esav, so he obviously had wrong intentions, he was focused on the wrong thing. So what's this whole concept of the vav? So there's a special thing about a vav. The vav we know is a vav keyboard, connects. It makes this connection point. In fact, we know Yisrael, which is Klal Yisrael, Kutsha Brichu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Vayraisa, and Yisrael Echad, who are one. How are they all one? So there's 3 ways to spell a vav. Vav, Vav, Aleph, Vav, Vav, Yud, Vav. Vav, Vav is 12, is the 12 Shvatim is Yisrael. Vav, Aleph, Vav is 13, is the 13 Ani Mamin, is Kutsha Barichu, is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And Vav, Yud, Vav is 22, which is Araisa, the 22 letters of the Torah. And there's a connection between these 3 things that the Vav connects. So we could learn from Ephraim, there's a lesson from Ephraim, that he was missing the Vav, he was missing the connection of doing a deal with Avram to benefit someone else or to benefit his town. He was missing that connection of having a connection with someone else. It was always to himself. It was his 400 that he was focused on. One of the many things that I've learned from Zaydi, and people discuss this, was Zaydi's ability to connect. He had connected with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, connected to Klal Yisrael, his connection and love for Eretz Yisrael, his devotion and connection to his family, which I've seen many, many times. And again, I'm only here a couple of years. I'm sure people know it longer. But in fact, I have some of my workers, when I went to tell them that Zaydi was nifter, all of them said to me, wow, he was a special man. Like he exuded that, I don't know what the proper word is, but that specialness. He connected, he had that special connection. There was one story I wanted to say over, that I felt was Zaydi, not a story really, but there's something that I do, it's a personal thing that I do. Whenever something happens, be it in Klal Yisrael or in my life personally, I try to find a pasuk in davening that I use to remember that and have a connection to that episode or that story. Some of the few that speak out is the 3 boys in Eretz Yisrael, Naftali, Gilad, and Ayal. When I say Kadosh, 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 and they come to mind. The 4 Kedoshim Hanoi, Baruch Hashem Kavod and When I say those 4 words, I heard once a shir on school for Karnosis, V'Shahat Loisoi Al Yarach HaMizbeach, right after Kavanos, and I had one. So I remember Shabbos morning, I'm davening in shul, it was right after Sukkot, and it was toward the end of raining, it was almost HAFTR, and Mendy came into shul. He was on his way to shul, and he came in to tell me. And I said to myself, I said, Zaydi was a special man, we all know it. I have a connection to him. In fact, I have a bigger connection to him with Chaim Simcha. And I said, how am I going to, what pasuk can I find to help me remember Zaydi? And right after we finished the prayer, we started Musaf on Shabbos, and we say this in every Shemona Esrei, the second bracha, we say, Baruch Hashem, Magen Avram. And the word Magen just hit me. Zaydi was a Magen. He was a shield, he was a protector. Be it for his family, be it for Klal Yisrael, be it for his love for Eretz Yisrael, he was there as a protector. And it's something that I'm going to take with me every time I done this connection. It's a memory that I will keep with Zaydi. And just remember his connection and his love for his family and for Klal Yisrael, and hope that he will be a Melech Yesha for the entire family, and be a Libar, like Rebbe said, be a Libar up in Shemayim, and be a Magen in Shemayim, and also help Chazi and I in the right Hadracha, obviously also, but specifically for Chaim Simcha, to help him grow up in his derech.
Amen.
We're coming close. There's not many people left, but I forgot who it was that said to Bobby that the last 10 months with Zaydi was a gift. I don't remember who it was, but Aunt Donna said it. I don't know if everyone knows, but when Zaydi first got sick last year, I visited in the hospital until right before Tuesday, when Moshe and I went to go pick up the stuff from Grandal. I didn't visit him at all, not even once, which is probably the only regret I have in my life today at all. And right before, I think right before Zaydi got sick that time, it was like maybe on a Sunday or on a Monday or something like that. I don't know. I don't remember exactly what day of the week it was. But I was home that Shabbos right before, and I remember that Zaydi had said to me at the Shabbos meal, we must have been arguing about something, or maybe I was arguing. Me and him were arguing with each other against someone else. Maybe it could have been a tag team, or maybe it was a Dvar Torah. I don't know. Something was happening, and he turned to me and he said, "You're good, kid." And he said that to me, and I was too scared to see him in the hospital or in Grandel after that, because I didn't want to have anything after that moment, and I didn't. And so when he was getting out of Grandel, I was like, okay, he's better. I could go see him, And it wasn't like that this last time he was in the hospital. Like, I came down right away, because I learned my mistake from that time, But I guess it falls back to when Ella and I were very, very little. We used to go visit Special Grandpa. I remember visiting Special Grandpa, and I remember, do you remember that? No? I remember we used to go visit Special Grandpa. And I also remember, I don't remember when it was, maybe it was at the unveiling or something, I don't remember when it was. I was very little, I was 3 years old. And I remember that we drove the car up to the cemetery, and everyone was there, and I didn't want to get out of the car, because all I had memories of Special Grandpa. I remember at that time, I remember thinking to myself, the only memories I have of him are him in the hospice. That's when he was in the hospice, and I didn't like those memories. And and that fear really, really blocked me. And I guess I'm grateful that I got to see Zaydi right before, and I got to spend time with him. I didn't let the fear of that block me from seeing him. I remember Bobby said to me, "Don't go to the hospital to see him. I don't want you to see him like this." And I said to her, I was like, I don't care what you want. I said, he's my grandfather. I don't really care if you want. And she's like, you're right. And I don't know what it was like for anybody else, but thinking about that memory with Special Grandpa. I remember when I found out do you remember when we found out that Special Grandpa passed away?
I literally
No memory?
none.
We were jumping on Chavale's bed, and someone came in and told us that Special Grandpa wasn't with us anymore. We were jumping on Chavale's bed.
I know, I don't know how he remembers.
Yeah, it was an extremely profound.
Down, dropping a basket.
It was an extremely profound.
Down, dropping a basket.
We're still alive.
Either way,
Either
our next speaker is going to be out.
Yeah, I remember nothing.
I remember nothing, but I'll speak
My grandfather.
Okay, I wasn't planning on speaking until a little bit ago, so I also just have like a few disjointed stories. Just to follow up on what Kiki was saying about the beer every childhood. I remember that one time we got it, and I don't know who started this conversation. We were talking about we got into this whole discussion about like how Indian names make no sense, and Zadie went off on this rant about how they're ridiculous, and it's just like words just put together and it makes a name, and he's like, it's all like Big Chief Rain in the Face. It makes no sense. Yeah, Big Chief Rain in the Face, and it became this joke. And we found a T-shirt in those catalogs that come every year, and they had like all the funny things on them. And one of the T-shirts said, "My Indian name is fronts with beer." And I was like, "Oh my God, we have to get this for Zadie. It's perfect." And we went back and forth deciding whether or not we were going to. I don't think, and then we got it. They're like, he'll literally never put it on his body.
Probably didn't come in the house either.
Right, that's true. So we didn't get it, but I just thought of that for a second. Okay, so I have two stories. One I don't remember happening, but I'm told that it happened, and the other I don't remember. The first one is that I used to love this movie. It was when I was little, I watched this King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table cartoon movie, and I didn't know how to say horse, and I didn't know how to say movie. It was the horsey movie, for whatever reason, I couldn't say either of those words, and it became the hushy mushy, and I watched this movie constantly, and until I literally broke it, because I watched it so many times. It had the tape, the cassette, oh my God, ancient. Something happened to it, and Bobby always tells me that instead of finding the movie, like a new one, elsewhere and getting it for me, Zadie took, it had to be that one, that cassette, he took it to a repair, I don't know, like where you go to repair cassettes, Arnold's Photo, and paid $25 so that I could have my hushy mushy.
And then when Bobby yelled at him, "Why did you spend $25 to wait for the movie?"
Yeah. And then
It's a hushy bushy heaven. Just throw away.
We might still have it with the videos. We have
well,
videos.
we're
Don't
going
need
to
anybody to turn it on.
We go to the Smithsonian every year to go look at it.
$10,000 is gonna be worth money one day.
And that's just the person that Zadie was. That if you wanted something or something made you happy, then you had to have it. And I know that I experienced this a lot with Zadie. I remember when I got my first big haircut, I had that long braid down to my butt, and one day I chopped off a foot of it, and I donated it, and I wasn't scared to cut my hair, and I wasn't scared like of any of those things. I wasn't nervous at all. I was dreading seeing Zadie with my short hair, because he was always saying like, "Oh, you like got enough of that for me, and I'll make a wig out of that. You know, and I would love to have your hair on my head." And like a couple of people have said already, Zadie was really consistent. Zadie was not into change at all, and I was really nervous about what he was going to say when he saw that I had no more hair. And he kind of did that thing where he would like pretend. No, he was just like, "Oh, you look so beautiful," you know, like just kind of glossed over it, you know, and maybe went to another room and cried about it later. But to me, he was like, "Oh, you look, oh, that's so nice," you know, just like short, didn't, say anything, and I don't know if he was upset about it or not, but it didn't matter because he didn't want me to be upset about it. I think I was only, like 8 or 9, and, he just, always, and he was very passionate, and he would, talk very passionately about everything, and, we would argue and all those things, but at the end of the day, like, he didn't ever want anyone in his family to be upset. He would never say things like that he knew would hurt you or he knew would upset you. And I went to Florida when I was 17, and I went to the aquarium, and I saw the dolphin show, and I came home and I said, I found my calling, I'm going to be a dolphin trainer. It's going to happen, I'm telling you, and Zadie was just like, okay, and I really expected him to be like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard, like, how are you going to do that? And you hate the water, and and he had done, he did ask me, he said, oh, and how are you going to do that? And I was like, well, I'm just going to. And he said, oh. And I had so much of this even now, like every 5 minutes, I'm like, I'm going to be an interior designer, I'm going to be a photographer, I'm going to, do all those things. And everything I ever said to Zadie, he was just like, okay, whatever makes you happy, good luck with that. And it was like a little condescending because I didn't think he really believed me. But, he still was just like, cool, whatever makes you happy. I just remember Zadie as someone who that was the most important thing. The only thing is that everyone that he loves and everyone in his family should just be happy and should just, love whatever they're doing, and even if it was the most ridiculous thing. And he would tell you if it was the most ridiculous thing, but after he would get it out, it would be like, all right, whatever makes you happy, good luck with that. And I just know that whatever I do end up doing, whenever that happens, that Zadie's gonna be like, cool, you got it. Okay. You did it.
Okay, we only have 2 speakers left from what my count is, and if you do want to speak, you can speak after the next person, just let me know. But as much as Zadie had a very big ego, okay, he did. And as much as Zadie had a very, very big ego, Bobby didn't. And doesn't. And all of the toughness that I learned from Zadie was very much encountered by the softness that I learned from Bobby next. And then
Kristen doesn't get her own introduction.
Okay, I usually don't write down.
I have the paper that
No,
my
but-
speech from my bar mitzvah.
I had mine till about 8 years.
And I had this, I gave it to you.
oh, you do write everything.
Sometimes I do.
For important occasions, you're going to put the form.
No, I didn't think I'd be able to speak this time without writing it down. And I did it this morning. When I was sitting Shiva, I heard someone ask, which children belong to whom? Obviously, when you look around this room, it's clear that each and every one of you belong to both of us in one way or another. Right? Secondly, there's something wrong with this picture. Showing your feelings at a Shloshim, it's very meaningful, but these words should be done when the person who you're speaking about is still alive to hear them and is able to share that moment. Okay, we hope that, right? Don't let time slip by you and have regrets later. Although we do believe that the person's is not physically here, but that they are here. Since Zadie isn't here, it's now up to me to guide you in the path he would have wanted. He was never shy in saying what he believed, so none of this will be a surprise to anyone here. To honor his memory and to follow, my hands are shaking, but I'm going to do it. In his derech means to be a good and courageous Jew and to live your life l'shem shamayim. The last word I ever heard him say was when Mendy did Birkas Kohanim for him before Shmini Atzeres. And at the end he answered with a clear and loud Amen. For his life to not have been in vain, you have to follow in his large footsteps. Grandchildren, you hear me? Last, I always believed you have to marry your best friend. It's really a problem, though, when that part of you is no longer here. I, unfortunately, also lost my Plan B best friend when she died a year ago. I thank Hashem every day for my family. I have to especially, he's going to kill me, thank my Stephen for taking care of Zadie for years, taking him to the doctor, taking him to the gym, even when it became more difficult and he was schlepping the wheelchair and the walker, coming in the middle of the night when he fell, scooping him up from the floor, stopping the blood from bleeding. He was 100% not a son-in-law from the get-go. I think that you got that sense when he spoke. He was our child, just like all of our children's spouses and their children. They all belong to the both of us. And I thank you all for everybody's help, everybody's good intentions, not only for coming here and doing this, but for the last 4 weeks. And before that, for all those difficult, trying times when it was so hard. Thank you.
I want to apologize to Caitlin because I had forgotten that Caitlin wanted to speak. Caitlin, I'm sorry.
Okay.
So Caitlin will be our next speaker.
I want to speak from here because if I stand, I might fall down. So as many of you know, I'm married in, and I've only had the pleasure of knowing Zadie for almost 5 years. And the one thing that always stuck out and continues to, and that he's gifted to so many of you, and that you carry through life, is your automatic caring and love and acceptance of another person. I lost my grandfathers when I was 3, so I never got to meet them, and I never got to develop a relationship with them. But being with Zadie for the short time that I had, not a lifetime, not a childhood, but an adulthood, I was able to see the twinkle in his eye, and we were both morning people, and when he'd be by my in-laws for Shabbos and we were also there, I'd wake up, it'd be like 5 in the morning, and there'd be Zadie sitting in his chair, and we'd have a schmooze. He's like, "Why are you awake?" And I'm like, "Why are you awake?" And we just continue what's going on in your life and how are things. But there was never a moment of who's this person and what's going on. It was, she makes a grandson of mine so happy, and we'll build from there, and we'll go from there. And and even through this last year, there's never been a moment where he's not happy to see you and happy to go on and enjoying the family that that he has. And you should all be so proud and so grateful, and no matter what happens, you know, to carry that with you and to be so proud to carry that sparkle, that twinkle, that something extra, that love for other human beings with you everywhere you go. Because it's totally there and totally available, and I feel it every single day. I felt it from him, and I feel it from each member of this family that I'm so blessed and lucky to be a part of. You know, so we'll miss him, and I'm so lucky to have had that time, as short as it was. But I'm even more grateful that he's given that over to all of you, and that I get to thrive and be in that love and that acceptance and that knowledge every single day for the rest of my life by being a part of this family. So that's it.
And Ricky, if you'll pardon me for one more. I was just informed.
This just in.
This just in. Moshe had sent something that he would like to be said, and we'll kind of you'll be reading it in Moshe Ephraim, and
Try to read it.
So Moshe wrote this today when he went to go to Zaydi's cover, I guess. Zaydi, I'm sitting on the ground at your cover, the place where 30 days ago I cried my eyes out in an attempt to say goodbye. Okay, kidding, I can't read.
Zadie, I'm sitting on the ground at your cover, the place that 30 days ago I cried my eyes out in an attempt to say goodbye. I send you up to Hashem wholeheartedly. My life for the last 30 days has been a series of ups and downs and missing. Very similarly to when I started my life-changing journey in recovery. In recovery,